So, for the rest of this chapter, what we're going to be looking at is what glands secrete what hormones and what those hormones do. And that's what I'm going to test you on. So you should know what glands are secreting which hormones and what those hormones do in our body. So, the thing that produces a lot of hormones is our pituitary gland. And there's an anterior part to it and a posterior part to it. All right, and these secrete different hormones. So if we look up here, you can see that's the location of the pituitary gland, just below the hypothalamus, up in our brain. It sits in the sella turcica. All right, so these are all the hormones that are secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. Quite a lot. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is growth hormone. Now, what growth hormone does is it stimulates cells to increase in size and divide more frequently. All right, so its major targets then are on our bones and skeletal muscles. All right, so there are three different symptoms known with either producing too much or not enough growth hormone. So the first is pituitary dwarfism, and you see that with this guy right here. He has pituitary dwarfism. And with pituitary dwarfism, there is little to no growth hormone is produced while you're growing. All right, so the long bones don't develop. And these people are typically under 4 feet tall. Now, this isn't very common in the United States, and the main reason it's not that common in the United States is we can make a synthetic growth hormone, and that's what we administer to people who have pituitary dwarfism. So this is a common type of dwarfism that we see at all, and yeah, this is an adult man. I know he has the shape of a little boy, but that's what happens there. This is the most common type of dwarfism in the United States. It's called achondroplasia. And achondroplasia is where the person has a normal-sized torso and a head. Their arms and legs are shortened, and they might have an enlarged forehead by comparison. So this is not new to pituitary not producing enough growth hormone. This is a single gene trait. All right. We see the other guy on here, he shows the other end of this, and this is called Pituitary Gigantism. And that's where excess growth hormone is secreted while growing. And what happens here is those long bones, they just grow and grow and grow. And so typically what we see with somebody who has Pituitary Gigantism is they're typically over 7 feet tall. All right. Now, if we go to this picture here, this is showing Robert Wadlow. Robert Wadlow is the tallest man who ever lived. He was 8 feet, 11 3/4 inches tall, 1/4 inch under 9 feet. If you look at him standing here, you know, I'm about the height of this guy right here. So, you know, if that helps you see how tall this guy actually was. If you ever have interest in seeing how tall he actually was, there's a life-size statue of Robert Wadlow found outside the School of Dentistry, SIU School of Dentistry in Alton. All right. So the third type of situation of excess growth hormone is called acromegaly. This is an excessive growth hormone in an adult. So what happens here is these people who have acromegaly are going to have enlarged facial features, hands and feet. And so you can see that with this woman here, you know, as a child, young adult here, she, you know, had typical features, but you can see, you know, age 33, she's showing those enlarged features, and definitely by 52, she's showing them. And a lot of people who have pituitary gigantism will also show signs of acromegaly. All right, let's go back to the anterior pituitary gland. So next is prolactin. Right here is showing prolactin. So lactin, lactation, right? So this hormone stimulates and sustains a woman's milk production. All right? So guys don't make this, as I mentioned to you guys before. Guys actually do have mammary glands. They're just inactive. Next is thyroid stimulating hormone. So this is thyroid stimulating hormone shown there. So it does exactly what its name implies. It stimulates thyroid gland secretions. Next is Adrenocorticotropic Hormone, or ACTH. So ACTH stimulates the secretion of hormones in the outer layer of the adrenal gland. So the outer layer of the adrenal gland, shown in here, that lighter area, is called the cortex. And so this name, Adrenocorticotropic Hormone, tells us what it does as well. It causes secretions from the cortex region of the adrenal gland. Lastly here are gonadotropins. So gonadotropin are hormones that exert their actions on the gonads and reproductive organs. And so there are two hormones that are secreted out of the anterior pituitary gland, and they do much more in ladies than they do in guys. Those two hormones are follicle stimulating hormone, which causes the development of eggs, and luteinizing hormone, which causes ovulation. And so we'll talk about those two hormones later on this semester. Now, let's take a look at what's out of the posterior pituitary gland. So out of this part here, two hormones here, antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. So the first, antidiuretic hormone, also known as ADH, this regulates our water concentrations in our body. And how it does this is it causes our kidneys to conserve water. So what our kidneys do is they clean and filter our blood. And so what they produce then in the end is urine. Now urine is excess water, excess salts, and metabolic waste. So by secreting ADH causes us to conserve more water, put more water back into our blood, less water in our urine. So this is something that we would secrete if we're getting dehydrated or something like that. All right? Now interestingly enough, if you drink alcohol, alcohol inhibits the secretion of ADH. So how you get dehydrated from drinking alcohol is when you drink alcohol, you inhibit the secretion of ADH, so you don't retain as much water in your body anymore, and you literally urinate out more water than you ingest when you're drinking alcohol. That's how you get dehydrated. Next is oxytocin. Oxytocin does a few things here. It stimulates uterine contractions during childbirth, so stimulates that to occur, right? It also causes the movement of milk in the mammary glands through the duct system. So you not only need prolactin to make the milk, you also need oxytocin to move the milk, all right? So those are two main uses of oxytocin. Oxytocin also causes feelings of affection and consent. And a lot of times it's referred to as the cuddle or love hormone, because you will produce oxytocin anytime you have physical contact with someone, all right? So the more physical contact you have with them, the more oxytocin secretion you have for them, the stronger feelings of affection you have for them.